Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Right now, get a free select tool when you buy the Craftsman V20 2-pack battery kit. Whether it's the backyard, the bathroom, or beyond, Craftsman has the tools to help you power through and get the project done right. Because DIYing is unpredictable, but your tools shouldn't be. Shop Craftsman at Lowe's today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Check it out now.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Good Monday morning to you. It is a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV. However you taking us in, 4 days away from Sirius XM channel 158. It's the numbers game. Gill Alexander, Kelley Bydlon, producer number 9. So much more than a producer alongside, just pounding on his keyboard.
Just wrapping up some of those producer things, Gill.
You need more time?
Right to the buzzer. I told Savannah, let's push it back 15.
All right. Yeah,
that works, right?
Everybody as you were for 15 minutes.
Long shots promos for 15 minutes.
Oh, that'll be fun.
I sucked this weekend, by the way, on that, but Wes Reynolds, 105-1 on Nick Taylor getting home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Nice way to start off the golf calendar.
Yeah, it really is, right? That's all I was thinking about,
beautiful thing. On the show today, guessing lines in quotes, because, of course, I'll tell you what I guessed and what the line is. I am aware of what they are at this point. And then a little later on, Dustin Sweetelson will join us. You know who he is, Kelley. He's the co-host of VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Maher.
Right.
So Dustin will be along, give his thoughts on the division round and the National Football League playoffs. And then Mike Samich, Samo Bombing, co-host of Ready, Set, Bet. He will join us to give the same thoughts as well. Also, perhaps on the college football title game as well. Maybe he's got some hockey. You never know.
Never know with the Samo Bomb.
You never know with the Samo Bomb. What did you do this weekend? How about them Redskins? Oh, sorry. How about them Skins, huh? First time in 19 years. I'm so pumped. I was so wired, and then I stayed up and watched tennis matches that I was betting on last night. So I'm on. Listen to that. Turn that up a little, guys. All right.
It sucks out when you have the Sunday night game so great and you're just jacked up afterward. You're like we have to get up early.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
I couldn't.
There are so many of those nights where you're like, how am I supposed to go to bed after this?
Great way to start the Australian Open. Hope everybody's following that at VSiN.com/picks for subscribers. A 4-2 start with a lot of dogs in there, so it's up 3 units after the first night or two of this because they had delayed matches the first night. But back to football for a second. I think we'll end up with what it ends up being corroborated by the power rankings, the 8 best teams, with the only exception being Houston in and the loser of tonight's game out. I really do. I think that's what it ends up. I think our power rankings are the same.
I don't remember exactly where I had Chargers Texans, but I mean, if I had Chargers ahead of them last week, it was the first week because Texans I was higher on most of the year.
Well, let's start with these chronologically for the division round. Do we do the guessing lines intro for this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Guessing lines, division round style.
Keep it going. We got a couple of things. All right, Saturday, 1:30 Pacific time, 4:30 Eastern. Double checking I have this right. Texans at Chiefs.
Texans at Chiefs. Can we just go back to last week and what I had to say about the Texans and Chargers? I think that might be the way to go.
Yeah, we could probably do that.
As part of Are We Sure? Here's what we said. Nope.
Oh, guess not.
Okay, guess not.
We'll get back to that one.
All right. Anyway, what I said last week was that I just believe that the Chargers and again, I always give Matt Humans a shout out here, right? Because he had the Chargers over for the season, and he correctly sort of, isolated the fact that their record was super easy, the Chargers. And they ended up over their season win total. But what I was saying going into this game this past weekend between the Texans and the Chargers was the strength of victory, right? The Chargers' strength of victory, not strength of schedule, strength of victory was the lowest of all the 14 playoff teams, the weakest, 348 aggregate win percentage of their opponents that they beat. Yes, there were a couple Denver wins in there. That's what brought it up to 348. So I was all over Houston. Houston gets it done, and I wondered aloud, how would the Chargers do if they fell behind? And we have our answer. This game started out was 3-0 Chargers. Houston first play, Stroud to Mechie, stripped by Gilman, recovered by James, and the Chargers were set up at the Houston 33, and it looked like, okay, this could be a Chargers run out, but after a sack by both Will Anderson and Mario Edwards, they got a half sack each and a drop by Disley. They had to settle for another Dicker field goal, 6-0 Chargers, with 6:35 left in the first quarter. That was a portent of things to come. By the way, Houston, a 3-and-out right after that. Stroud was nearly picked. Then there was a fair catch interference by Chris Boyd. Chargers get it back. They had a J.K. Scott punt that was blocked by D'Angelo Ross, but even that took a massive Chargers bounce. So like everything was going the Chargers' way, but yet you looked up at the scoreboard, it was still 6-0. That's it. Next time Houston got the ball, not this time, but the next time after this. So two more drives. Houston 3rd and 7 at their own 15. This is where the Stroud, by the way, terrible pass picked by Dean Leonard. Chargers then set up at the Houston 40. First play, Herbert picked downfield by Kamari Lassiter. So that pick didn't turn into anything either because Herbert immediately returned the favor. Next time Chargers had the ball, they punted it to the Houston 1. This is where the game changed. 6-0 Chargers after all this. Houston has done nothing. 3rd and 16, own 17. You know what happens here. Snap gets by Stroud. He's fleshed out to the right. He throws it up over the middle. Xavier Hutchinson wide open for a 34-yard gain. 2 plays later to Collins for 37. 3 plays later to Collins from 13 out. 7-6 Houston with under a minute left in the first half on a 10-play, 99-yard, 5-minute, 17-second drive that was made possible by that 3rd and 16 conversion where Stroud collected the ball after it was loose and managed to find Hutchinson over the middle. So 10-6, by the way, at the half, as the Chargers couldn't do anything with it at the end of the second quarter. Then the first time that the Texans get the ball in the second half, Stroud to Collins for 41. Next play, Mixon stripped. So still the Chargers only down 10-6 at this point. They've got all these opportunities, right? Mixon was stripped by Tony Jefferson on a play that looked like a design halfback option. He recovers it. That's the first Mixon fumble in 1,082 touches. Then the Chargers 4th and 2 at the Houston 34, incomplete to Quentin Johnston, whose route wasn't even to the sticks. Then Houston 1st and 15 at the Chargers 24. Stroud seemingly picked by James in the end zone. Nixon, unnecessary roughness on the return. Later determined James didn't even survive the ground, but the penalty was enforced. That's a weird little NFL rule quirk.
Yeah. They
right
went to
there.
commercial way too quick on that, too.
Way too quick, and then you get the result. Oh, by the way, while you were gone, this is what happened.
Because when you see the replay, and we never saw it from that angle, when you see the replay, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Chargers still then had after a hold, again, it was 2nd and 40 for the Texans at the Chargers 49. They settled for a Fairbairn field goal. It's still 13-6 Houston. 4:48 left in the third quarter. I mean, this is a strange football game at this point. Chargers, first play on their, not their ensuing drive, but the one after that. 1st and 10, their own 24. Herbert overthrows McConkey, picked by Eric Murray, 38 yards to the house, 20-6 Houston, and the route from this point was on. Herbert at this point in the game had 3 picks for the season, 504 regular season passing attempts. At this point in the game, 2 out of 24 attempts, 2 picks, 24 attempts. 1st and 10, the Houston 39. Then Herbert picked again off a deflection by Stingley. That wasn't his fault, that one. Stingley returns at 54 yards. Then Houston set up at the Chargers 12. They settled for a Fairbairn field goal, 23-6. Chargers, next time they got the ball, now it's, by the way, 3 picks in 27 attempts versus 3 and 504 in the regular season. Sacked by Anderson on first, sacked by Edwards on second. Then 3rd and 26 at their own 14, 86 to McConkey. Have no idea what Kalen Bullock was doing on his angle there. So 1 broken tackle, and he's gone 23-12. But the Chargers could not have a moment of good feelings because then the extra point was blocked, and Cameron Dicker acted like it was a pass and batted it down. D'Angelo Ross returned that to the house off the bounce for 2. So instead of a 7-point sequence for the Chargers, it's only +4, 25-12. And then Houston 4th and inches at the Chargers 38, Stroud for 2, and then later 4th and 1 at the 17. Mixon into the end zone, 32-12. Texans blow out the Chargers. And yet I had said Kansas City -10 over Houston.
Yeah, you're a little high. Houston getting a little love here. We are at 8, anywhere between 7.5 and 8.5 in the market right now.
Mildly surprised by that. Mildly surprised.
I am too. Get to my bets later that I've made, but teaser leg of the year? Question mark. Let me put it this way. I bet you we see more teasers tied into the Chiefs this week than we've seen in a long time.
When Baltimore got down, when Baltimore against Pittsburgh, when that line sort of not crashed, but went down a little bit before game time.
Crazy line movement this
I immediately went into Baltimore, Buffalo, Rams teaser mode, like tease away.
Yeah, as you should have.
Because it wasn't available all week. But anyway, back to this game for a second. I just thought this is such a great lesson because we're going to talk about the Steelers too. But the Chargers really benefited from their schedule. They ended up beating nobody, right? The Broncos wins were the ones that actually lifted their strength of victory. That doesn't mean it was a bad season. I just think people got really mesmerized by the Harbaugh narrative. It's easy to toggle to, oh my God, Jim Harbaugh, look, he's doing it again. And I think with the Steelers, by the way, which we'll get to, we lost the bets on the Steelers win total under. But was it the right side in the end? Do you feel like we weren't that wrong in the end?
Oh, yes.
Totally, right?
Okay, this is going to be hard to say. Without taking anything away from what the Chargers, Broncos, and Steelers all accomplished during the regular season, these were the least surprising smackdowns ever this weekend.
Yep, I agree. C.J. Stroud, by the way, becomes the sixth quarterback to win a playoff game his first two seasons. Big Ben, Flacco, Sanchez, Wilson, and Purdy, the other five. Sanchez got in there. And then I guess we have to have the Herbert conversation before we move on, because, again, we'll get to the Chiefs and the Texans.
Let's do it, Gill.
But
let's do it.
You know, look, at the beginning of the year, my comment was, we ranked the quarterbacks, and I had Justin Herbert as like the seventh or eighth best quarterback in the NFL. And I said he's 1 year away from taking incoming, which is, I get it, you're good enough to take your team to these clutch situations at the end of the game. But by and large, you end up sucking at the end of games on final drives. It happens time and time again. This was a year where that was kind of extinguished a little bit because he's great on the one hand. But I'm just saying, the people who make him the people who canonize him, I just think they need to ratchet it back a little bit.
He's never winning an AFC championship. He's never winning it. And he's a good quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback in the league. The AFC is too tough, and he is still overrated for where he's at in this league.
4 picks in this one game. 3 for the entire season. We'll come back. Guessing Lines continues. Numbers Game, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're getting ready for Big Game 59 with a big deal to match. Save $59 off a VSiN Pro annual subscription when you sign up using promo code ANG. Become a VSiN Pro annual subscriber. Bet smarter all year long with full access to our daily best bets, exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, 24/7 video access to tune in anywhere on the VSiN Watch app, plus all our betting guides and expert picks for the Super Bowl and upcoming March Madness. Don't miss out on this big game deal. Visit VSiN.com/subscribe. Use promo code ANG.
ANG is an A numbers game.
To save $59 off a VSiN Pro annual subscription today. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. By the way, I don't know if I lingered long enough on that spread. Yes, but I had a Kansas City by 10. You said it's Kansas City by how much? 8.5, you said?
Texans taking money early, man. 7.5 to 8.5. I am surprised.
I mean, give the Texans credit. The defense looked great.
Yeah,
defense looked
as
great.
They have all year, right?
But I don't think they can come into Kansas City and have a real shot at winning. And I think there's a scenario where Kansas City blows them out.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is that team getting rested. We've seen how good Kansas City's defense has been all year. I don't know what to say about the Kansas City offense right now, Gil. I think it's definitely going to be as good as we've seen it all season, but there is a chance that they take some major leaps forward here in the playoffs. It wouldn't surprise me at all with the pieces that they've added before the season, during the season, and all of these guys are getting healthy right at the right time.
And what do you know? Houston gets the early window on Saturday.
Still, I know it's incredible. Every time.
It's their birthright. I think I know what's next.
Next up, Saturday night, Commanders at Lions.
Oh, Washington on short rest against the enjoyed Detroit Lions. So even with the bye, they'll get extra advantage here, the Lions. Well, let me just say this, too, before we even get into it. 19 years since Washington has won a playoff game. George W. Bush was president.
Yeah.
19 years. I think I was your age, Kelley, when this happened.
I don't know why George W. got it.
I don't know why you did it. That game is so long ago that Sean Taylor spat on Michael Pittman Sr. That's how old that game is.
Oh, man.
So it's been that long. Gibbs 2.0, by the way. Washington gets it done against Tampa Bay. What did I say all year, too? Because people are obviously, when Washington gets beat by Detroit next week, people are going to be like, oh, you suck. Be like, what did I say all year? All year I said this is a playoff team. At the very most, they can win one playoff game. It's all gravy from here. We'll get to that momentarily. Last night, in case you missed it, what a ball game. Let me just start from the beginning, because there's going to be some things lost in this game. Because I'm hearing a lot of, Tampa Bay, Washington's lucky. Are they? Let's get into it. Tampa Bay hits a 50-yard field goal to start things. But Washington goes offside. So instead of a 4th and 7, McLaughlin makes the 50-yarder. It would have been 4th and 2, and Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers decline the penalty. They say, we'll keep the field goal.
Yeah.
That's the first mistake right there, boys and girls. 3-0 Tampa Bay, 11:35 left in the first quarter. So if you're a Washington backer or a Washington fan, you're like, cool. Washington, 3rd and 6. Jaden to the incomparable Terry McLaurin for 35. What a catch. Eventually, 4th and 2 at the Tampa Bay 20. Incomplete at the feet of Eckler. Next time Washington gets the ball to Ertz for 9 on 3rd down. Then to McLaurin for 18. Eventually, 4th and 1 at the Tampa Bay 23. This time, Eckler barely gets the one as part of a 17-play, 92-yard, 9-minute and 8-second drive for the DC Skins. Jaden to Diami from 10 out, 7-3 Washington. 9:26 left in the second quarter. You can't get the kid off the field. What did we say early in the season when they were beating Cincinnati? If you don't punt and you don't throw interceptions or fumble, you're kind of tough to beat. 7-3 Washington. By the way, 10-3 after Gonzalez makes a 52-yarder. 10-3 Washington, 1:52 left in the second quarter. Now, Washington at this point, you have to understand, this was at the point in the game where you're like, okay, Washington gets the ball first in the second half, up a touchdown right here. If you stop Tampa Bay, it's kind of like a pseudo double dip situation. Washington, there's a scenario here where Washington kind of blows them out. Doesn't happen, though, because Baker Mayfield does one of his great 3rd down runs where he's just knocking into people. And he gets a 1st down on a big 3rd down conversion. The Bucs have 2 timeouts in pocket. By the way, did you notice this? Bowles lets 13 seconds run off the clock before using one.
Yep.
So Tampa Bay could have gone differently for them, but they end up with the Washington 12 with 17 seconds left. They do get a PI on Lattimore in the end zone. By the way, after Evans just spiked him to the ground, they're like, that's on you, Lattimore. We caught the second one. Mayfield to Evans from 1 out. It's 10-10 at the half. And if you're Washington, you're like, that's kind of deflating. But at least, we get the ball first here in the second half. So Washington gets the 1st and goal at the 3 to begin the third quarter. Again, it's like, all right, good. Going to go up a touchdown. But nope. Have to settle for Gonzalez 22-yard field goal, 13-10 Washington. 10:30 left in the third quarter. And this is where it starts to go Tampa Bay's way, because you're like, okay, Washington left points on the board there. They gave up that 3rd down play to Mayfield. This could have been a lot different at this point. Instead, Tampa Bay goes 10 plays, 72 yards, 5:59. Mayfield to Irving from 4 out, and Tampa Bay takes the lead, 17-13 with 4:31 left in the third quarter. By the way, Mike Tirico was way too excited at this point. I was a little upset with him. Washington then 4th and 5 at the Tampa Bay 37 to Ertz for 14. 2 plays later, PI in the end zone on Zion McCollum. Washington 1st and goal at the 1. Can't get it in. 4 plays after that, 4th and goal at the 3. Incomplete, intended for Ertz as Lavonte David just hugs him. Nothing called.
That was incredible.
I mean, for all the people who are like, oh, yeah, Washington got lucky. How many points did Washington leave on the board? Are you kidding me? All right, so it's still 17-13 now after that, but the biggest play of the game, or as it turns out to be, is the biggest play of the game, happens after that. By the way, after the Lavonte David hugged Zach
Ball don't
Ertz.
lie, right?
What's that?
Said ball don't lie.
Ball don't lie.
That's what I was thinking of.
After Lavonte David hugged Ertz in the end zone, by the way, they came back from commercial, and Terry McAuley, sheepishly after the break, he's like, oh, yeah, that was a foul, guys.
That was funny. Just say it, man. It was a complete missed
I think that was a foul. Tampa Bay 1st and 10 at their own 15. You know what happens? Mayfield fumbles the exchange to McMillan on a jet sweep. Fumble. Scoop recovery by Bobby Wagner. By the way, that needs to be focused on, too. What a great recovery that was.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Because Baker Mayfield has fumbled the ball 13 times this year. This was only his second one he lost. And Wagner just warp speed scooped it away from him. That was awesome.
That's a wild stat. He fumbled that many times and only that many.
Fumble luck, anyone?
That's incredible. They did a good job on the broadcast. I will say that play.
Yes.
That play, you're running it with a rookie wide receiver. The timing on that play has to be so perfect, and in a situation like that, it's a questionable call.
That was right after the play where Evans extended for the first down, and you're like, oh, wow, Tampa Bay's got this under control. Instead, it's Washington ball at the 13. 4 plays it took, though, because another 4th down, 4th and 2 at the Tampa Bay 5 to the incomparable Terry McLaurin touchdown, 20-17, Washington with 9:46 left. Then Tampa Bay is set up 2nd and 1 at the Washington 12. This game was bananas. 2nd and 1 at the Washington 12. It's 3rd and 1. They can't convert because of a mistimed snap. The center snaps it before the rest of the line was ready to go. McLaughlin was all messed up. McLaughlin, they have to settle for the McLaughlin 32-yard field goal. Were you okay with them kicking the field goal there? I think you had to.
Yeah, you probably had to.
20-20 with 4:41 left. Not everybody thinks that. And then it's Jaden Daniels' ball, tie game with 4:41 left. And I will speak on behalf of every Washington fan this year. You just know it's going to work. You don't even doubt it anymore. The kid is unbelievable.
They're the greatest 4th down team ever, Gill.
It's incredible. 3rd and 6 at their own 34. A dime to Diame for 21. 2 plays later to Eckler for 18 just by Yaya Diaby's ear. Finally, 3rd and 2 at the Tampa Bay 19 with 55 seconds left. Tampa Bay with just 1 timeout left. Jaden, as he's done all year, avoids pursuit. He glides for 4. And then we were treated to 30 seconds of Zane Gonzalez fixing his hair. And I swear I'm looking at the screen. I'm like, what in the world is this?
I love it.
Because it wasn't just 1 stroke back. It was like 17 of them. And apparently then later we found out he was doing like some tick thing with his shoe also.
It was very much, I know Buddhist Man tweeted us, but I was thinking about Sark the whole time. I was like, the only thing that's missing here is the coach with the pep talk. Like, what is going on?
What is he doing? Anyway, you know what happens. He gets up there. Doink! Good! Skins win. First playoff victory in 19 seasons. 23-20. DC Skins. Detroit by 7.5.
Okay, you're a little light on this one. Detroit right now, 8.5 or 9.
Yeah, that's about right. And again, I'll just say it. You know, if Detroit beats Washington 40-0, no one cares. This is just a. You have to understand. We thought we had a life sentence with the world's worst human being as an owner, and for a quarter of a century, we were hostage. The thing we loved, hostage. Held hostage by this guy. And all of a sudden, he finally couldn't get away with all his crimes. He finally, remember that thing where he tried to skim money off the other owners? That was his final straw. A new owner. Then they draft the right kid out of college, Jaden Daniels. I don't care if they lose 40-0. What I think will happen, and this is a Malcolm Gladwell blink thing, I think they actually put up a good fight, and this lands right around the number.
I'm just looking at a couple of these openers. I can't. So Westgate opened this 10.5, and DraftKings opened it 7.5.
Disrespectful.
Wildly, like 3 points.
Who was the 10.5?
Westgate.
Oh well. Never mind. I leave that without comment. Coming back, more guessing lines right here on a numbers game at Visa, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Ready to take your tailgate to the next level? You got to try Sewell's Barbecue. Born from a backyard cookout in a mason jar of unforgettable flavor, Sewell's has become a Southern favorite, delighting taste buds from Georgia to the Carolinas. From smoky ribs and mouth-watering wings to the perfect backyard burger, Sewell's turns every bite into a flavor-packed experience. Order now at SewellsBarbecueSauce.com. I will spell it for you. SEWELLS sauce.com. I refuse to spell sauce. Flavor this good, just a click away. Skill Alexander. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Always appreciate the feedback.
Sauce is tough to spell.
It is tough. That's why I pass on every time. I'm like, what is it again? Lance Schaefer. Oh, Lance Schaefer. Bless your heart. Lance Schaefer. When the Skins had their first 4th down conversion go awry, he's a Bears fan. He loves Caleb Williams. He hates that we play that Caleb Williams, Merrill Hodge thing, and he blames me. And now he's saying, I blame you. No, it's the crew back. They play it whenever they want to.
Special.
See?
He is not special. There's nothing special about him.
Sorry, Lance. Got nothing to do with it. So anyway, Lance is backtracking, and he said, congrats on your team winning a playoff game. I can't remember the feeling. Lance, we're all good. It's okay. Brian Morian, will there be a closing monologue to pour one out for Kelley's girl with the tats? That's tats with an A.
Oh, no.
Withdrawing from the Australian Open. Yeah, Marketa Vondrasova couldn't go.
WD?
WD.
Well, maybe she was due for some new ink.
Maybe. It's like Australian Open. I got to get some more tats. Big kahuna. Congratulations on the Commanders. Childhood loves being a special kind of joy. Yeah, let me just say this. I'm a grown man. I'm a middle-aged human being.
He's a man. He's 40.
All I care about is betting, except the one thing that I have maintained, fanhood-wise from my childhood, is this here franchise. I don't care about the Wizards or the Caps necessarily, even though I was happy they won the Stanley Cup. Right? I was an Orioles fan. I wasn't even a Nationals fan.
Yeah.
All the tennis stuff. I know you guys think I love Swiatek so much, but no, it's all bets.
It's all bets, yes.
This is, I can't explain it to you. It's like Rufus when we have Rufus on. He still has an Orioles thing.
Yeah.
It's my dad going to with the games with my dad. It's a whole thing.
We never have this conversation because I respect it because the betting can get you so jaded on how you feel about teams and
Yes.
even from your childhood. And it's not like you never really hear me talk about favorite teams on this show.
This is the only team.
We all had them when we were kids, but look, I moved around a lot. That was a special place and a special team for you in your childhood. And so when we talk betting and so much betting, a lot of that stuff gets lost in the shuffle. So congratulations, man. I didn't have a bet on the game. So it was just a great game to watch and root for you. It's fun.
I might weep at any moment. StatLogic Sports was hoping you would have only guests on the show today who said the Commando skins had no chance. Guess there's not enough time for that. That's right, StatLogic Sports. Las Vegas 514. Yo. Was that the best doink in Washington football history? Some say this team is lucky. I say more pure talent and determination. Rack that song. Let's go. That's right. Just keep playing it all day. NCI 95 Gambler. Whether we win or lose the bet, how about that Lamar Jackson for MVP ticket, Gill? I tailed your bet, and it looks like a great bet. Where do I collect my CLV? Oh, I think you're going to get more than CLV, my friend. That's my hope. Let's see.
We're not still hanging odds on that, are we?
No, we shouldn't be.
Yeah, we shouldn't because all the votes were.
All the votes are in. Rich PSM, as a two-time Survivor loser from Washington, their offense is extremely challenging. They accept just making 10 yards over 4 plays all game. I'm not sure what that said. With Daniel Skills, that's very hard to stop. Detroit, with their defensive injuries, is beatable, says Rich PSM.
We were talking during the break. The total for that game?
Yeah.
55.5, 56 right now. Defense not
awesome.
Expected.
Defense not expected nor welcomed, by the way. Jason, Ice Cold Gambler, come on, 40-0 Lions. We all know you'll care, Gill. Let's not lie. I'll care also. Let's go Washington. Shock the world, he says. Gibby, Gill, the Washington football team should change their name to the Pigskins, obvious football reference, and a shout out to the Hogs from the Glory Years. They got to change it no matter what, I got to tell you that.
Can we talk about something real quick with the first 2 games we just talked about?
Yes, because we're about to enter the blowout portion of the show.
Yeah, I bet this already. I kind of want to say Chiefs-Lions, I think there's a chance. It is the most bet teaser in a long time in the NFL playoffs.
Is this called a Kelley Bydlon Square Bear bet?
Yeah. Kelley and the Square Bears are all over this one. It is the only bet I've made so far for this week. The number of people that you are going to hear talking about this 6-point teaser
absolutely
is going to be mind-blowing this week.
Yep.
And I agree with it. I do agree with it. I absolutely agree with it.
Though they'd do well to do it as easily as the first 2 teaser such legs did this week.
I don't know about you, and we don't often talk. I had a fantastic betting week. Throw out the Sony Open, but whew.
I did too, from football and the Australian Open to start, because that's the thing about betting, right? It is in many ways if you're not betting, right, and you're just a fan watching these games. Besides that game last night. It was like there was a moment during the Philly Green Bay game where I found myself, I'm like, I better keep my eyes open. It was bad.
I've turned into that guy. Yeah. I don't know if I would have said this.
But I'm winning money the whole time, so I don't care.
I don't know if I would have said this 5 or 6 years ago. Give me all the blowouts you want as long as they're going my way, because I had money involved in every single one of those, and it went my way. Tack on the biggest NBA bet of the season for me, getting home Friday night. Pacers covering against the Warriors. That was great. The only thing how did I push on the Chargers Texans under? Luckily, I had it 44. I know people had 42.5 are really bad about that one, but geez, that one should have gotten home too.
Well, how about this next game? Let's go to Sunday morning.
Yeah, Sunday. All the times are a little wonky this week. I actually love these times for us. I think they're perfect. But if you're used to normal NFL, start
East
time,
Coasters who had to wait till like 4 p.m. for football on Saturday.
Brutal. Okay, so Sunday noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. We've got whoever is going to play the Eagles.
Whoever's going to play the Eagles get there with their win over the Packers. And again, this is, poll question of the day. Which of these, in your opinion, was the biggest blowout, truly? Candidate number 1, Philly over Green Bay. This game started, the biggest play of this game was the very first thing that happened. Keyshawn Nixon, on the opening kickoff return, is stuck by Oren Burks, of the Eagles. He fumbles. The officials rule that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. recovers. The overhead replay clearly shows it's recovered by Nixon. No overturn, play stands.
Yep.
Game's over. I immediately sent text. I'm like, it's over. It didn't even happen. What are they doing?
Well, the one thing that's really impressive about this...
Why do we have replay?
Yeah. I mean, this Philly team, you just can't let them get ahead, right?
Philly set up at the Green Bay 28, 3 plays. Hurts with all the time in the world. He could have had a nap out there himself. To Dotson for 11, 7-0. Philly less than 2 minutes into the game. Then it's 10-0. Green Bay first play. Love picked deep by Darius Slay. Next time Green Bay gets the ball, 4th and inches at the Philadelphia 19. Kraft gets 1. They still have to settle for a McManus field goal try. 38 yards. He goes wide right. It's still 10-0. Green Bay was messing, was suffering all game for the fact that their left guard, Elgton Jenkins, went down with a stinger earlier in the game. So Travis Glover is their first replacement. He's called for holding twice in a span of 3 snaps. On this drive, a 2nd and 10 at the Philly 48. On the same drive, Love hits Zach Baum between the numbers for a pick. It ends up being 10-0 at the half, in a half where Philly held the total yards advantage over Green Bay. Are you ready for this? 125-101. 10-0 Eagles.
Do you ever remember an offensive line injury like that seemingly impacting a game as much as this one did?
Well, it's a great question because the next time Green Bay had the ball, the first time they had it in the third quarter, now they've taken Glover out and they put Kadeem Telford in for Elgton Jenkins. He holds. They overcome it, but they still have to settle for a McManus field goal. 10-3 Philly, more than halfway through the third. But then Philly, as they are wont to do, they answer 5 plays, 68 yards. Hurts to Goddard from 24 out. He stiff arms Carrington Valentine, not once, not twice, but 3 times on the way in. 16-3. Elliott misses an extra point.
That was sick.
Then Green Bay, Dobbs out on a previous drive with a concussion. Then Jaden Reed is knocked out on a hit to his arm by Blankenship. But Josh Jacobs is still a gamer, 31 yards to the 1 yard line. Then he punches it in. 16-10 Philly, early fourth quarter. And then 19-10 Green Bay, 4th and 3 at their own 41. The Pack showing zero urgency, down 2 scores. Did you notice that as well? Like, what are you doing?
Oh my gosh.
You're down 9
Did
points.
I notice it? That was egregious.
Love to Heath, who's like, down on the wide out depth chart because they have no players now. His foot was out of bounds. So Philly took over. They got it to 22-10. And then Josh Myers, the Packers offensive lineman, goes down to injury. Sean Ryan holds his replacement at center. The Pack overcomes that, but Love is picked in the end zone by Quinion Mitchell when the receiver gets just absolutely mauled. And by the way, the game finishes. It wasn't over yet because Saquon then had a breakout. He could have run for a 76-yard touchdown. Instead, after 17, he slides to the ground because that is what Saquon does. 22-10 Eagles. The Packers -4 in turnovers. And minus $1 million in terms of players knocked out of the game.
Just to be that guy real quick. I hate this guy, but I'm going to be this guy for a sec.
Yeah.
Only thing that missed on a 19-1 same game parlay, Saquon anytime touchdown.
Saquon anytime touchdown.
That's all I missed on that.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with him not scoring, but take the yards, Saquon.
I don't know that he for sure would have scored.
No, I think he would have slid right before he got in. Even if he did that, I think it was a score. I'll have my guess what I think about this line hypothetical opponent next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
In case you have not heard, this is the big news around here. We're back on Sirius XM starting this Friday, 4 days from now. 24/7 sports betting coverage on SiriusXM channel 158. VSiN all day, all night on the SiriusXM app as well, giving you all the insights, analysis, and picks you need to stay ahead of the game. And we're excited to launch an exclusive news show just for SiriusXM listeners. They've already been on a week. VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio, hosted by Patrick Maher and Dustin Sweetelson. Has it been 1 week or 2 weeks they've already been on? I can't even keep track anymore.
1 week.
1 week. Catch it every weeknight from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern, SiriusXM channel 82. Dustin will be on the show a little later. Mark your calendars, though, for the whole network. This Friday, VSiN debuts on SiriusXM channel 158. VSiN, the sports betting network. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Always appreciate it. Jason H11. Gilly, I'm having trouble wrapping my little brain around the time change for the Australian Open. What time of day will you be putting up your picks? Also, congrats on the Skins win. Thank you for that. So the Australian Open, because of the time zones, it is a little funky. And then they had rainouts the first night, so we ended up having 8 matches, I believe it was. No, 7 of the picks. So there was basically it was 2 nights of picks on one night, all graded last night. They all took place last night because the first they were washouts. So big night. So essentially, to answer your question, it's right after this show, I will go and I will handicap. Though there is one match, because of how the schedule ended up getting all jacked up, there is one match that I put in a play for that hasn't taken place yet. I am on Osorio. It used to be Osorio Serrano. Now it's Osorio. Camila Osorio. Plus 164, I believe, was the number against Maria Sakkari. That is out there already. But as far as tonight's matches, the new schedule, I will handicap it after the show. So those will be at the VSiN.com/picks page for subscribers, also for survivors, just sometime midday today. James Sott, I totally get that favorite team thing. Glad your Commodores won. I can't bet against my home teams yet. Unless the Browns start DTR, then that's easy money. I can't walk away from that. Oh, I used to bet against them all the time when they stunk. Brian Schaefer, Gill, you're right with your EGA bets. It's not fandom. I'm an Eagles fan. They don't pay my bills. Not a Commanders fan, but I was last night when I had the money line and Daniels to rush for 30 yards. Cash that ticket. Let's go. Mike Rouse, have Zane Gonzalez and Xander Schauffele ever been seen in the same room?
That's hilarious.
Got a side-by-side.
That's hilarious.
That's a good one. Joe C714, I actually really like that Pigskins name. Do you think the NFL would even allow it since it still says, since it's still letting the fans say Skins? Either way, that name is perfect. And then Lance Schaefer, the Bears fan, said, I deserve that, all in good fun. No, man, we're good. No problem. And then Wet Willie Colin says, the big guy, what a trio, ANG history. So Dustin, looking forward to Dustin's appearance on the show. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's just backtrack for a second. So Philly hosting the winner of tonight's Minnesota Rams game. And by the way, I am on the Rams. I had it at a shop that didn't void it. So I had all this CLV on the Rams +3. Not anymore. It is what it is. Minnesota by 2.5 tonight in Glendale, Arizona. So there's no line for this because we don't know the Eagles' opponent. But I believe that no matter who wins tonight, right, Vikings or Rams, I think the Eagles end up being less than a 3-point favorite at home. I think it ends up being, obviously we don't know, maybe it could be a blowout tonight and then it would be somewhat different.
Right, yeah.
But I think generally speaking, I would imagine the Eagles end up being like a 1.5 or 2.5 point favorite.
What'd you make of the Eagles side of that performance?
Well, so that's a great question, because I think the narrative that we're getting from people, or like the common takeaway, is, well, Jalen Hurts, he wasn't, he had been in concussion protocol. He didn't practice like he had been. And so it was, somewhat expected. I love how people retroactively, right? Yeah, somewhat expected that he wouldn't be all that sharp. By the way, Hurts' final stats, 13 for 21 for 131. Saquon still did his thing, 25 for 119, and it could have been more if he hadn't slid. So that's what I'm hearing from everybody anecdotally, like if I'm just like punching in the radio and stuff. I think and maybe that's right. It could be right.
I think there's a bit of that.
It could be very right. I do think it is a bit too casual, though.
Me too, because you brought it up on the recap. The biggest play of that game was right at the beginning.
The very first play of that game.
Because this Eagles team, when they get up on you, this is where the Saquon Barkley is made the massive difference this year, right? It is We're just going to run the ball, take the time off clock all game. We don't care. If we got the lead, we will take the air out of the ball. So from that side, it was still impressive that they were as dominant as they were, despite maybe the score being a little misleading. But okay, you had injuries that started to rack up on the defense just when the defense has gotten so good. And then, yeah, I mean, look, the passing game was not as sharp as we've seen it. There is no doubt about that. So I don't know. I've got some questions.
Listen, I said before at the beginning of this show, I said I think we'll have the best 8 teams according to my power rankings, with the only exception being Houston in and the loser of tonight's game out. I think next week it's very possible we'll have the 4 best teams in, the only exception being the loser of the Baltimore-Buffalo game out and Philly in, because I don't have Philly in my top 4. I have them 5th. So I think that's where they are. I think the power rankings are pretty clear to me, and it's kind of manifesting. It's like, again, for all the Washington love, it's like, no, they've always been exactly what they've been, like the 8th best team in football, right? So I think, I don't know, I think if you're an Eagles fan, you're like, hey, we survived, we go on, and now he does get, I think that's what you hang your hat on. Hurts does get another week to sort of get prepared.
The A.J. Brown book thing was weird.
The A.J. Brown book thing was fascinating.
Is that a regular thing? Like, is that
first time they've ever caught on camera?
Okay,
I think. And what Kelley's talking about, A.J. Brown caught reading. He was about as bored as I was watching the game. But I will say this: I think you and I speak for a bunch of.
It's like Savannah going to a 2-shot and me just being like, yeah, Gil, yeah, sure, totally, yep, yeah, absolutely,
whatever you say, Gil.
Whatever you say. What's that NBA line tonight? Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah,
that's right.
Oh, camera. Yeah, right.
It's basically what it was. But I think he represented what we were talking about before. Is in addition to my having Houston, I think you and I did what everybody in America did, which is I ended up betting the 3 big favorites, right? Buffalo, Philly, and who am I forgetting? Baltimore.
Yeah.
First half full game for all 3 of those games, and then it ends up going 5-1, and it's the most brain dead thing in the world. But that's how the cookie crumbles.
That's the separation we saw in those teams versus the other, and where the lines moved. I guess got to circle back to it, Gil. The line movement. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in my life when it's come to the NBA this season of lines where they open, where they close, and the movement in between. NFL's felt a little bit like that this year as well. And this weekend, there was so much steam right before the start of these games, and a lot of the time the wrong way.
Remember when me and Matt Brown did primetime action? So this is, when did we do it? 2021, right after the pandemic?
Yes.
We did primetime action.
2020?
2020 and 2021.
Start football season, right?
Yeah.
For 2 years. Yep.
That was the first. So legalization was just happening. Remember, we're still adding states at that point. And remember, we would get on primetime action, and the betting, the grid, like the Don Best screen, would light up like a Christmas tree every night. And that was like the new, we forget now, right? We get normalized to these things. Before that, it didn't happen that way. But now that all these states were coming online, and remember I used to say out loud, it's almost as if millions more people are betting, right? It's obvious. And so there's so much, there's so much more money in it. So it doesn't now. And what was the other thing we noticed? We noticed that like news would come out on Monday or Tuesday, and then like the average fan would just react on Friday. Like, oh, I didn't know so-and-so was out of the game. And all this money would pour in. And Matt Brown would open
Matt's flip out.
Matt would be like, why are people just reacting now? But before game time or these playoff games, are you kidding me?
It would always be like, Matt would be like, the guy literally said after the game his foot hurt. And then we're freaking out when he gets ruled out on Thursday with a foot injury.
It used to drive him crazy. Anyway, I do think, and again, I'm on the Rams. You're on the Rams tonight? Who are you on?
I have the Rams in a teaser leg with same. I did the same thing when that Ravens line dropped. I tied in, I think it was Ravens or Bills. I think it was Ravens. Doesn't matter. Got home with the Rams.
Mine's a 3-teamer.
So I guess I'm not done with the week yet.
I have the Rams. So I have the Rams money line. I have the Rams +3, and that I stuck with from a book that not stuck with, but that's my CLV isn't there anymore. And then I have the Rams as +8.5 as the third leg of a 3-leg teaser.
Look, I'll bring it up again. I think the entire country will be on the Chiefs Lions teaser this week. I definitely like the Chiefs side of that better than the Lions, though. I think you do too, based off your guessing lines numbers. So I think you got a perfect candidate to pair with the Rams tonight if you wanted to do that.
Well, we'll get to we're going to break here, but we'll get to the biggest game. The marquee matchup of the divisional round is the final one chronologically, which will be Baltimore and Buffalo, which is the game of the weekend, at least on paper. The number 3 seeded Ravens against the number 2 seeded Bills. The de facto mano-a-mano MVPs, Lamar versus Josh Allen. And let's just say that my guess was off on this one.
Yeah, it was.
I
think I was closer to you than where it actually came out.
My guess wasn't very precise on either of the two before this either, by the way, it should be pointed out. But this one was, I was definitely surprised by. We'll get to that, Baltimore, Buffalo, and more. Coming up, Numbers Game, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a Numbers Game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Hour number 2 of a Numbers Game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV. However you take us in, we appreciate it. That's Kelley Bydlon coughing.
Wrong pipe.
He's having an incident. He's having an event next to me. It's Gill Alexander. That's Kelley Bydlon. Producer number 9. So much more than a producer. Yeah.
Man.
You okay, man?
Yeah. Did that swig of water and went down the wrong pipe right before we came back.
By the way, isn't that one of the most underrated things about the human body? The
really
fact
is.
that those two pipes, I believe that's a medical term, are so close to each other, and that somehow our bodies, generally speaking, know for it to go down the right one, but every once in a while, right?
Just great.
It just trickles into the other one.
Right before you
they're
come
so
back on
close
air.
together.
Yes, because they're so close together. Right as we come back on air, though. Always a great time for that to happen.
I know, but doctors don't call me. I know it's not as simple as I'm making it out to be.
Oh, you're definitely going to get 3 tweets at least.
It's not 2 pipes.
All right, Achilles doctor. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, can I play this from last week? This is when we found out that Deshaun Watson had himself a quote-unquote setback.
Yeah, might have surprised Savannah on that one.
Might have surprised Savannah.
Yeah.
Okay. See the Deshaun Watson news?
No, I did
It has
not.
nothing to do with sports betting, but I just thought this was interesting. Deshaun Watson has reportedly suffered what they're calling a setback in his Achilles recovery.
Oh, man.
Now, I don't know if you guys have heard this from me before. I don't know if I've mentioned this ever on the show before, but I've ruptured not 1 but 2 of these things. Has that ever come up on this show before? I'm not sure it has.
Never.
Not sure it is. Breaking news here. So here's the thing I just want to say about this. A setback on an Achilles recovery, to me, can only mean one thing.
What, re-ruptured?
That he re-ruptured it. That's back in the day, right? And I'm talking about the dark ages of the 1990s when I ruptured my first. You were told to do nothing for 6 months because there is a rate of re-rupture. The thinking in the medical community changed in those 2 decades since, 3, whatever it is, where they're like, no, get out there, go crazy. And then you have the kooks like Aaron Rodgers, who had everybody believing last year, I can come back this year because I got this alternative medicine. And you have hack doctors that we all know on Twitter who are so eager to curry favor with Rodgers that they were like, yeah, he can come back. No, he couldn't have. And so I wonder if Watson got a little too aggressive, re-ruptured it. If that's the case, he's probably going to miss training camp next year at a minimum. And what do you know? A re-rupture, in fact, it is. Dr. Gill Alexander, medicine man.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
So what else came out over the weekend? Like they're trying to figure out whether he did this with the Browns or not, right? If it was on his own time. I mean, the
Browns are looking for any way out of this.
Like they're going to do anything.
Yeah.
Anything they can to try to get out of that money.
All right, what's next?
All right, next up, Ravens at Bills.
Ravens at Bills, marquee matchup. Ravens, and I said this last segment or the segment before, and I want an answer at the end of this. Which of these games was the biggest blowout in your mind? So Philly and Green Bay was your first candidate.
It's actually easy for me.
Number 2, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Baltimore, first time they touched the ball. 13 plays, 95 yards, 7-13, 9 runs, 4 passes on a drive that featured 5 straight Lamar Jackson runs and a Henry 34-yard run, punctuated by a stiff arm to the face of Minka Fitzpatrick, ends in a 3rd and 13, 15-yard touchdown pass, Lamar to Bateman, 7-0 Baltimore. 2 times, or Pittsburgh then, 4th and inches at their own 34, they decide to punt. Did you have a problem with that? Down 7-0, 4th and inches at their own 34, they punted.
Yes.
I did too. Because this is, again, I know it's not the Mike Tomlin concession punt, but this wasn't 4th and 1. This was 4th and like an inch and a half punt. Okay. So Baltimore gets the ball back. 13 plays, 85 yards, 756. 13 runs on 13 plays. Henry in from 8, 14-0. Next time Baltimore gets the ball. 9 plays, 90 yards, 151. Lamar to Hill from 5 out after great movement from Lamar to escape the rush. 21-0 Baltimore, halftime. That half alone answers the question to me. I mean, Pittsburgh, this was the biggest domination of a half, you could argue, not just this weekend, but of the entire NFL season, maybe.
Wow.
They just destroyed them.
I don't agree.
You would agree.
No, I don't agree. I have a different answer to your question.
Those 3 drives were so punishing in your face.
I mean, they were.
It was unbelievable. It was the perfect half of football. The Ravens out-total yarded the Steelers in the first half, 308 to 59. 308, Kelley. 20, 27, and 9:33 in time of possession, 19-2 in first downs, 164 to 19 in rushing yards. I could go on. Anyway, Pittsburgh came to life in the second half. First time they got the ball, they went 9 plays, 98 yards, 3 third-down conversions, 25 to Austin, to Williams for 37, then to Jefferson for 30. Russell Wilson comes alive, 21-7. Baltimore comes right back, 4 plays, 70 yards, out of a 2nd and 20 hole when Lamar hit Tylan Wallace for 21. 2 plays later, Henry in from 44, where Patrick Queen wanted no part of him. 28-7, business decision. And then Pittsburgh got one more touchdown to cut it to 28-14, but that's all they would do. Baltimore ran out the last 6:06 of the game, 28-14 Ravens. Candidate number 3, the Bills over the Broncos.
This is the answer for me.
This is the answer for you? All right, here's how the game started. Nance egging on Romo. Here we go, Jim. Broncos. 5 plays, 70 yards, took 224. Knicks to Troy Franklin for 43, 7-0 Broncos. They would never score again. 7-3 now. Buffalo, 13 plays, 81 yards. Cook in from 5, 10-7 Buffalo. Then after a great fake punt was executed by Denver, they couldn't do anything with it. Riley Dixon to Mims Jr. They still had to punt. They punt it to the 1. Buffalo can't do anything. Denver gets it back. They matriculate from the 8. Lutz, 50-yard field goal try. Doinks off the right upright. It remains 10-7 Buffalo at the half. This is the game you chose as the biggest blowout. It was 10-7 at the half.
Yeah.
Third quarter, 13-7 now. Surtain, by the way, completely holding Kincaid in the end zone uncalled.
That was ridiculous.
Holding them to 3. You said it, Jim. Denver 3 and out. Buffalo gets the ball back. They're up 13-7. 9 plays, 73 yards, 5:34. After an unsportsmanlike extends the drive. 6 plays later, 4th and 1 at the Denver 24. Remember, it's 13-7 at this point. 4th and 1 at the Denver 24. They go into shotgun. Allen probably looking to run. Can't. To Ty Johnson, back of the end zone, feet up over the end line, hands underneath the ball, touchdown. It's really close. This is going to be a touchdown, most likely. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God, Romo is annoying. 19-7 Buffalo, by the way. 2-point try to Coleman, 21-7, and the route was on at this point. Buffalo next time after a Denver 3 and out. First play, 4th quarter, Allen to Samuel to complete for 55. On a 3-play, 58-yard drive on 3rd and 6, 28-7. They would end it 31-7. Buffalo wins it going away. By the way, just before you answer your question, Buffalo 72 plays to Denver's 42. Baltimore 72 plays to Pittsburgh's 45. You got Buffalo as the biggest blowout of all these?
Yeah, I understand Baltimore first half, but man, this was after it looked like it was going to be close. Once we got into the second half of this game, Bills just leaning on that running game. Denver can't do anything to stop it. Yeah. It was just, yes, it took a couple big plays for touchdowns to get them to that point, but it never felt in danger.
The only difference between the 3 is both Buffalo and what was it, Philly, they let the opponent hang around a while. Mm-hmm. Whereas Baltimore was just like, boom, you're done.
Right.
You're absolutely done. But anyway.
That was, we're talking one drive from Denver, right? It's like we're talking one drive. That's it.
Right. Here we go, Jim.
And just the way that Buffalo, I cannot wait for this game next week, but the way that Buffalo can just lean on that running game between Cook and Allen, and it's pick your poison. You're not going to be able to stop us over the course of 4 downs.
So I guessed Baltimore -2.5. And it's Buffalo -1?
It opened Buffalo 1.5, I think, most places. We are... Oh, this is interesting.
What is it?
I thought this would happen. We are on both sides favorites, I'm seeing.
There we go.
DraftKings Ravens 1.5.
So this is coming my way just...
Circa Buffalo 1 right now.
Okay, so this is coming my way just like the Washington was coming my way. Mm-hmm. Chrissy Anders, my Mishpucha, might have said, I like your line better for both of those. I'm very surprised that Buffalo opened as the favorite here. And again, no disrespect. I got Baltimore. I got Buffalo as the third best team in football. I just have Baltimore as number 1. I don't... Baltimore's A game, I don't know who's beating that. The question is, can they have their A game every time out?
I agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Baltimore's A game offensively especially offensively, is the best thing in the NFL. I'm waiting for the Lamar Jackson game to show up in the bad way.
Hey, you're that guy.
I'm that guy.
You're that guy.
I'm that guy.
You speak for half of America.
I will not. This will not be a big bet for me, Gill, but I will end up on Buffalo in some shape.
It's only a thing until it's not.
It's only a thing until it's not.
I asked before Wildcard Weekend, I said, remember, I got sports talk radio-ish, and I said, who's got the most pressure on him? And mine was between Baltimore and Minnesota, where I said, okay, Baltimore, Lamar Jackson's got this playoff stigma. Minnesota, 14-3. You don't want to lose. You don't want to crap out immediately after a 14-3 season. So I think it was between those two. Baltimore showed no signs of any pressure. None.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a major difference. There's multiple big differences in this year's team compared to past years, but Derrick Henry helps, right?
For sure.
Lamar being able to rely on a competent running game behind, but that's not just him, is massive. So we'll see if that carries over to Buffalo. I can't wait for this game. Are you kidding me?
Who's got the more pressure in this game, to ask that question again of Baltimore, Buffalo? Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen?
I think it's still Lamar.
I think it's still Lamar because I think Josh is perceived to have a Patrick Mahomes problem as opposed to a playoff problem.
Yeah, the other one that's like, maybe after this weekend, it was Mike Tomlin and the Steelers that had the most pressure on them because, wow, we're going to fire Mike Tomlin?
We're going to trade Mike Tomlin. There's all kinds of people saying stuff.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.